passionate about helping women with invisible illnesses realize that you can still lead a pretty healthy and active lifestyle. It's just not going to be the one you had envisioned for yourself, but what the hell else are you going to do about it? Sitting around feeling sorry for yourself is just not a winning strategy. Trust me, I tried that. It does not work. I This is an important topic because this is something I've actually struggled with a lot. I've got a lot of brothers, and I'm the only girl. And so, of course, and it wasn't anything my parents did, but just by nature of obviously I didn't really fit in. And I've always felt, I'm so sorry, I'm roasting hot. I probably should have put my hair up, but I didn't. I have the fan a little further away, so hopefully it won't be as obnoxious as it was the other night. Um, I always felt like I wasn't good enough. But one of my gurus, Trent Shelton, by the way, has a great YouTube channel. I heard him talking about this one day, and he said, "Good enough for who? Who set that standard that you're trying to live up to?" I thought that was a really good question. And it's something that I've been thinking about ever since. So let's talk about, excuse me, 7 things to remember when you think that you're just not good enough. This information, by the way, is from tinybuddha.com. Oh, I can't read this lady's name because the way my notes are. Ha 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 ha. That's embarrassing. But here's a great quote: "We can't hate ourselves into a version of ourselves that we can love." And that's true. Negativity is not a good place to build a foundation on. You've got to learn to be kind to yourself. You are enough. You know how I know you're enough? Because God doesn't make trash. And yes, I'm a Christian and I believe that God put us all here for a reason. And it's not to feel that you're not enough. It's not to feel, I can't think of the damn word I'm looking for. Oh, it's so annoying. But anyway, here are 7 tips on how to, not 7 tips. Good grief, it's going to be a long video. I'm so sorry. This is so embarrassing. Here's some things you need to remember when that little voice in your head starts with its bullshit. And by the way, that little voice in your head, it lies to you. So don't listen to it. Number one, don't compare yourself to others. That is the quickest way to rob yourself of happiness. You are usually comparing like your chapter 3 or 4 to their chapter 40 or 50. Well, of course you're going to come up short. Of course you are. And you know what? You don't even know their story. You have no idea what goes on behind closed doors. You only know what they've chosen to share with the world. That's a very small fraction of somebody's life. And another thing, sorry, it is hotter than Hades in here. I'm in Alaska. No one has air conditioning. It's only hot for like 4 weeks out of the year. It just happens to be right now. But you need to remember when you're comparing yourself to other people, guess what? They are comparing themselves to somebody else too. So this person that you've set up on a pedestal, they probably don't see themselves anywhere near the way that you see them. And they're probably berating, oh, look at that person over there. You got to remember that. Don't envy somebody for what they have. First of all, they're only human beings. And we all face similar challenges and struggles. We all are just trying to figure it out. We're just trying to make ourselves as happy as we can. But you can't build a happy life for yourself if all you're doing is looking around and finding, well, they've got more than I do. Then yeah, you're focusing on your lack. Look, if you really want what somebody else has, success leaves a trail. Figure out how they got from A to B and do the same thing. It's both that simple and that complicated. Number two, you need to remember that voice in your head, it freaking lies to you. Your thoughts are just that, they're thoughts. They're not truths, they're not absolutes. You don't have to believe. Just because you have a thought, you don't have to believe it. You don't have to buy into it. A good example of this, thank God, I am somewhat, I wouldn't say I'm very self-aware, but I'm a little self-aware. And when I started coming off of the Cymbalta, yeah, excuse me, but that shit is disgusting. That stuff really, I have a friend who takes it and has done really well with it. But for me, it was a nightmare. And it really messed with my head. And I had to remind myself, these are not my thoughts. This isn't me. Just because I had those thoughts, I didn't have to buy into them. I didn't have to believe them. Again, thank God I was self-aware enough because, wow, that stuff messed with me. So when you start having those thoughts, just observe them and let them go. You don't have to cling to them. Number 3, you've got to remember that there is so much more right with you than there is wrong with you. Don't focus on your perceived flaws. And I say perceived because you know what? Most of the time, we are so much harder on ourselves than anybody else would ever be. And very few people are going to see us in the harsh light that we tend to judge ourselves under. It's a choice. It's always a choice. When I start down that rabbit trail of, oh gosh, and I have had this wrong and that wrong, and I should be better at this, and I wish I was that, I would stop myself and, okay, I can choose to think that way. Or you know what? I'm not perfect. I don't want to be perfect. And I start focusing on my good qualities. Instead of going down the rabbit trail of all the things I don't like about myself, I shift gears. And I start thinking about the things that I do like about myself. And it sounds simplistic, but I'm telling you, it's going to make a big difference for you. Excuse me. Number 4, when you feel like you deserve it the least, that's when you need to offer yourself grace. This is when we need love the most. And it's hard to accept love when you're in a state of anger, anxiety, or depression. You need to allow those around you who love you, allow them to lift you up. I'm not very good at this because when I'll be honest, when things get stressful, I shut down. I just withdraw. I don't talk to anybody. I don't want to talk to anybody because I don't want to be a burden. I don't want to be a whiner. So I just shut down. Is it healthy? No. But I'm just telling you, that's my habit. But you know what's a really good thing to do when you're in that state? Turn to prayer. Prayer makes a tremendous difference for me. And I got to tell you, with all this stuff that's going on with my dad and my career, and which is, wow, that's a complete whole video, but that's just kind of a shit show right now. Excuse my language for the rest of the night because I'm just in that kind of a mood. But prayer gets me through a lot. Prayer is what got me off of Cymbalta because I gotta tell you, that shit was hard to come off of. By the way, side note, nobody told me it was going to be that hard to come off of. I knew what the side effects were. I try to be a very informed consumer, especially when it comes to medications. But I didn't see anything about that until it was too late. And it was when I was coming off it that I started going a little crazy. Number 5, you need to accept yourself for who you are and where you are right now. Look, you've made it this far. Is everything perfect? No. First of all, perfection doesn't exist. Are you super happy? I don't know. Probably not. Most of us struggle with that. But you've made it this far. There's obviously a lot of things that you're doing right. And here's the deal. You have to learn how to make peace with yourself. This is hard for me because I am, if you know me very well, and some of you do, I am an extraordinarily harsh self-critic. But I'm learning to make peace with myself. Why? Because you cannot grow until you make peace with yourself. And again, you've got to have a positive foundation to build from. And if all you do is tear yourself down all day, you can't build anything positive from that. Number 6, focus on how far you've come instead of how far you still have to go. It's about progress, not perfection. Now, this is something that I can get really caught up in. Like, oh my gosh, I've got so far to go in this. But if I stop and look around, it's like, wait a minute. Yeah, okay, I still have a long way to go, but look where I started. Man, I've come a long way. It's a small shift, but it's a really significant one. And you know what? You got to celebrate your small wins. If you don't celebrate your small wins, you're not going to celebrate very often because the big things just don't come around that much. But if you're really severely depressed, I've been there. I've totally been there. The 3 wins that I used to celebrate were things like, this is going to sound so funny, but I brushed my teeth. I have a friend who's a dental hygienist. Some of you have heard this story. I have a friend who's a dental hygienist. She told me there's plenty of people in my community who choose, for whatever reason, not to brush their teeth every day. So you know what? If my sickly ass gets up on a rough day and I brush my teeth, you bet your ass I celebrate that as a win. Now, that is something that I would do no matter what. That's an intrinsic habit for me. But since I know for a fact there are people out there who choose, for whatever reason, not to do that, That's a win. Did I get out of the clothes that I slept in? Even if all I do is put on other pajamas, which I refer to those as my day pajamas. But if I put on day pajamas and it's a rough day, that's a win. Did I give myself permission to rest for a while without berating myself over my laundry list of things I should be doing? That's a huge win. Celebrate your small wins. And you've got to remember, you're going to stumble. You're going to sometimes fall flat on your freaking face. Don't get hung up on it. You got to let that shit go. Finally, number 7, self-criticism will never lead to success. Again, you cannot hate yourself into something that you love. It's not going to work that way. All that negative talk's not going to take you anywhere good. You've got to be kind to yourself. You know, a mantra that I stole from a former mentor, and she's just a former mentor because I've changed so much that I don't want to go that direction anymore. She's still a great resource, and I still look to her sometimes, but that's not true. That was her thing. When her little voice would start, she would firmly tell herself, that's not true. You know why? Because it's not. Again, that voice in your head lies to you. Don't go down the rabbit hole. Just as soon as you catch that thought pattern, just tell yourself, it's not true. And if you think it is true, if you really think all that shit that you tell yourself is true, get out a piece of paper, put a line down the middle, and write down all the things wrong with you and all the things right with you. I don't know what else to tell you than that, but you've got to figure out how to be kind to yourself. You need to counter your irrational thoughts like, I never do anything right. Really? I mean, come on. That's such bullshit. And I know I've been there, but it's bullshit. You're beating yourself up over nothing. You learned how to walk and talk, didn't you? Those are 2 pretty significant accomplishments that you did right. Lighten up on yourself. Yeah, and make a list. Make a list of your irrational thoughts, and then make a list of how you can counter them. It's all about reframing. It's all about taking some of your negative self-perceptions and putting them into more positive light. Maybe you're not very good at this, but you know what? I bet you're kick-ass at something else. Anyway, it's a choice. It's a choice. How you choose to present yourself to the world, how you choose to view your place in the world. If you think you're not enough, it's a choice. Why are you selling yourself short like that? Okay, I'm going to go. I need to go get something cold to drink because as you can see, I'm sweating my ass off here. It is just, I bet you it's 85 degrees in my dad's house because, again, I'm in Alaska. Nobody has air conditioning. You only need it like 4 weeks out of the year. But he's up on the top floor, and son of a biscuit, it gets hot in here. So I'm going to go. I hope you all have a great night. I will be back sometime on Friday. I'm not sure when, but I'm really trying hard to get back to at least Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Even if it's not at the same time, this is progress. So I'm celebrating that win. Y'all take care. I'll see you Friday. Thanks. Bye.